So we're actually going to do some Python programming today. Woohoo! All right, don't get too excited. So hey, so last time we started out by taking a look at an actual Python developer job description. Let's take a look at another one. This one's a little bit different from the last one that we saw. So where's this one located? It's up in New York City. Okay. Python developer is the title. Okay. Remote work. I think that means that there's not like necessarily an office that you have to go into. Alrighty. So what do they actually want you to do? They want you to code, debug, and unit test systems per requirements of technical design. What does unit test mean? Sounds like a cool word. You will see this word throughout every job description you've ever seen in your entire life. So unit test means you're going to code up the traffic control system for Lakeland. You are in charge of red lights. I've got two other programmers, one in charge of yellow lights and the other one's in charge of green lights. But you are the red light programmer. So what that means is that you're going to create your red light code. And what you need to do when it comes to unit test is you need to make sure that your red light code works correctly. That is unit test. Now, mind you, I didn't say that your code has to work with everybody else's, right? Unit test means your code works correctly by itself. System test is when I get you in a room with the yellow light and green light guys, and I put it all together, and then I test it. And that's called system testing. And that says, hey, does your red light exchange information and take information from the other guys like it should? Completely separate type of testing. Unit testing means your code works correctly. Does that make sense? Okay. Ensure quality of deliverables, of course, understanding client requirements and functional specification. Sort of like we're doing in this class, right? Okay, communicating project status and updates regularly and clearly. In other words, don't lie. Hey, you almost done that code? Yeah, I'm there. Okay, I should start that soon. Wait a minute. All right. Keeping track of effort spent on tasks assigned to you, okay, which means, hey, we estimated this at 2 weeks. How much time have you spent on doing it? Well, I've spent about 3 weeks. Half a week, or what have you. Work with teams to develop complex web applications. Find, support, refactor, and enhance an existing application system. What does it mean to refactor software code? Something cool word. Well, it's interesting enough. It means taking somebody else's code and basically rewriting it so it does whatever it does quicker, better, faster. Maybe there's new libraries. Maybe you're just smarter in this particular area. Maybe the other person was rushed. Who knows what the story is? They've got code. Their code works. There's no question about that. But they want to have you come in to basically rewrite the code that's there so it does something different, quicker, better, faster, or does something else. Generally, it's not additional functionality. When you're refactoring software, you're not actually asking it to do something more. You're just changing how it does what it does already. What do you have to do? What kind of skills do you bring in order to get this job? Proven application development experience, so we want to know about other jobs you've had. Using Python with MySQL, Postgres, SQL, Couchbase, and MongoDB. All these other weird things are databases. So what they want you to have is the ability to program in Python and the ability to have it work actually with databases. So they need you to have both database and programming knowledge is what they're looking for. Understanding of MVC architecture, I've got no freaking clue what that is. Okay. OOPS, REST, SOA, SAS, NoSQL database. This is like a laundry list of stuff. Testing framework like PyUnit. That must be a Python unit testing framework of some sort. Okay. Version control, and then a bunch of deployment and maintenance stuff. So they're talking about a lot of stuff that has to do with the software development process there. Software deployment, software maintenance, and stuff like that. This is a legit software development job. You gotta know Python, but then you also have to know how to use Python within the software development that the shop is set up. Got it? So there's a lot of bits and pieces that all go together for this stuff. What is programming? Since we're talking about programming, we should at least come to an agreement as to what the heck programming is. Okay, so programming means to create and develop software. Makes perfect sense. And software you're going to develop is called a program. Okay, cool. All right, vocabulary out of the way. In basic terms, software contains instructions to tell the computer or a computerized device what to do. Because computers are what? They're smart or dumb? Dumb. They're super dumb, right? Unless you tell them what to do, they're just going to sit there quietly in the corner and do nothing, right? All right, software's all around you, even in devices that you might not think would need it. Okay, that's your cell phone, all that sort of stuff like that. On a personal computer, you use word processors to write documents and all that sort of stuff. Like, they're all examples. You guys use software every single day, even if you know. Hey, have you ever used an ATM? That's a heck of a piece of software right there.
DVD players.
DVD players, you know, and that's like an embedded system too, right? Okay. Cool. Programming languages. So we talked about this a little bit already, but you know, so we're going to talk to you about how to use things in Python. A lot of different programming languages have been created, and once again, they're all created for specific purposes. You know, well, don't we just need one programming language? Don't we just need English? Why do we need all the new language? This is English. No, but the concept behind the other programming languages is they do some particular task really, really well. And Python does its own particular type of thing very, very well, but there's other ones for other purposes, okay? And by the way, when you develop a new programming language, you know about all the other ones. So generally what you do is you bring all that other language stuff to the table when you're creating your brand new language. So there's a lot of similarity. There's no best languages, everyone's good and bad and stuff like that. Seasoned programmers try to understand as many different languages as possible. If you really want to be a software developer, you probably need to know like 2 or 3 programming languages quite well. You need to have familiarity with a couple of others, right? But the not being that you can pretty much, once you know a few languages, you can pick up any new language pretty quickly. It's not that hard to do. You learn to program using one language, you should find it easy to pick up other languages. Amen to that. That is true. Okay, what are we going to be using in this class? We're going to be using Gotcha. Now you need a computer to run Python on. So if you have a laptop, you're going to be able to install Python on your laptop. That's fantastic. If for whatever reason you don't have a laptop with Python on it, I had a talk with the CIO guy. He said, I guess you guys have a computer lab? Is there some nodding going on here? Yes. So you have some computers that are available to you here at the school. He assured me that those computers already have Python installed on them. Okay, so everything we talk about in this class, you should be able to walk up to one of those computers and sign in, or just sit down, or whatever you have to do, and you should be able to do everything that you need to do. So I believe, to the best of my knowledge, everybody in this class should have full access to a copy of Python by the time we're all done with this. Okay? Good news about Python language, it's free! Yay! Okay, great. So who created Python? This is the dude who created Python. The guy with the meter. Woohoo! You know it's got to be a good language, right? So his name was Guido van Rossum, and he's still alive. He's still doing fine. Thank you very much. Not like some old person or something like that. He created it in the late 1980s. And why did Guido decide to make Python? Guido was a system administrator. What does that mean? Well, he takes care of a whole bunch of different computers. Okay? And what also means that what he was doing was boring, repetitious work. Back up a hard drive, reload a laptop, change a password. And Guido got bored. He was like, man, this job sucks. You know, I could automate this if only there was a language that would allow me to do that. So he took a look at the world of languages in the late 1980s, and what he found was a lot of basically high-performance F1 super racing languages. Languages that were built for speed, okay? They were designed to do big, complex programs. Java. 1980s it wouldn't exist, but there would have been things like Ada and COBOL and Fortran, and so big complex languages. And he said, man, I don't want to do any of that. I'm just trying to write small programs that do very specific things, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to change these programs a lot, because system administration stuff changes all the time. Get a new hard drive, get a new operating system, get a new, I'm always going to be going back and changing this stuff. So it has to be really readable. He said, but there's no languages that do what I wanted to do. So guess what he did? He did his own language. We call it Python. Woo! Okay? Smaller programs that didn't have to run at optimal speed. Python is not a speed demon. You're not going to be calculating world weather forecasts or anything like that with Python. That's not what it's designed to do. Okay? Okay? However, what it is important to you is that you can quickly update them and you can change them very, very easily. They're very readable, very easy to understand.
So those guys basically pioneered scripting.
Yeah, 1980s, not too bad, yeah, but there was other scripting available back then. But yeah, basically, but once again, remember, he created a language that was designed to be very easy to update, which was actually sort of novel back in the day. Everybody else had some stuff, but yeah. Python's pretty damn popular, all things considered. And once again, because it's easy to learn. And by the way, is the world filled with system administrators? Now, there is another language that as a system administrator you can use. It's called Perl. Perl has been around for a very long time. It's a very, very detailed language. It's got tons of functionality. It's relatively complex. Perl's not a terribly easy program to use, and you can screw it up pretty quickly. Python's a lot more forgiving than Perl is. So a couple different ways to go if you're a system administrator, but definitely Python's in the line. History of Python first came out, Python 2.0, yay, in 2000. So he had developed it, he'd been working with it, he'd been playing around with it. It only became publicly available in about 2000. That's what, 15 years ago at this point in time? Development process was changed, became more transparent and community backed. So it was his language up until 2000. In 2000, he sort of released it into the wild and said, hey, go have a good time with it. And by the way, if you want to have some changes, we've got a process. Bring back your requests and we'll work it into the language. You can actually get the language changed. How cool is that? Okay? Now, here's some important information for you guys. So Python 3.0 was released in 2008. 3.0 is actually pretty important because 3.0 does not work with 2.0, or really 2.6, 2.7, whichever one you find. So, if you encounter a Python program out there, it becomes very important to understand, was it written for Python 2 or was it written for Python 3? Now, Guido deliberately made it so that 3 doesn't work with 2. He cleaned up a bunch of stuff that was in 2. He fixed it. He said, I don't like the way that works. I'm going to change it in 3. It's his language, he can do it 3 now. Okay. But because he made these changes, it means if you write something in Python 3.0, there's a good chance that if you try to compile it or assemble it using a Python 2.0 compiler, it's going to go, whoa, you can't do that. Ooh, illegal statement, not going to happen, okay? There's a world that, is this always going to happen? No. Will it happen sometimes? Yes. Is it a huge deal? No, it's not a huge deal. There's a lot of people who will actually have job descriptions that say you need to know Python 2.0 in order to come to work for our company and support our code. Because it's all written in Python 2.0, right? However, the future is Python 3.0. And when they create Python 4.0 at some point in time in the future, it will probably be backwards compatible with 3. Right? So the whole concept of having a non-compatible backwards version is a little bit crazy. It's a radical decision, but clearly it was important enough to Guido to do it.
Are people like actually switching to 3?
Yes.
Or is it like not CP6
Yeah.
and no one's really changing?
No, it depends on whether or not you have the cash to do it. If you're doing a new project, you'll do it in 3. No question about it whatsoever. You won't necessarily rewrite a 2 to make it 3 unless we're doing a big change to 2. 2 works fine. You got 2 interpreters. You've got 2 codes. Your life is fine. You just go on as it is. But if you write something new, you'll probably do it in 3.
Okay.
Huh? That makes sense? All right. And Python 2 is still very popular, but we're going to do 3 because it's the future. Woo. Top 30 programming languages. Take some notes. If you got to learn programming languages, these are the ones you should be learning. Well, okay, whatever. So it's a little hard to read. This is Java. This is C, C++, C#. Who created C#? Microsoft. Microsoft created that one. Look at this, Python in what, the 5th position. Python, after that comes JavaScript, PHP, Ruby, SQL, MATLAB, and then there's a bunch of others that are out there also. So, and this is just 30 languages. There's a lot more than 30 out there. But you can see that Python's actually up there in the top 5. That's not bad at all. Obviously, there's a lot of people doing a lot of stuff with Python. Okay? What is Python? Since we've been talking about it enough, let's nail it down. Let's just be real clear on exactly what this crazy language is. So first off, it's widely used. It's a general purpose language, which means it wasn't designed to do any particular thing. It was designed to do everything, right? It's not for number crunching. It's not for processing large databases. It's not for scientific computing. It's for everything. Remember, it was written by a guy who was a system administrator. Huh? Okay, its design philosophy says, listen, when you write a Python program, you should be able to read it and understand what the heck's going on. There are a number of languages, when you write the code, it's going to be a mystery. One of the best languages, that's a good example, this is a language called Lisp. Lisp is a great language, it's a fantastic language, very powerful for what it does, but it's all parentheses. Everything's parentheses in Lisp. So if you take a look at the code, you're going, oh my God, what's going on here? And you have to go stepping through the parentheses to see what's going on there. The interesting thing about Python, fewer lines of code than Java or C++. In Java and C++, you really have to get stuff like set up, and then you do it. In Python, you just do it. And there really isn't the concept of getting set up to do something. Okay? Python supports a bunch of different paradigms. You can do functional, you can do object-oriented, you can do pretty much a bunch of different stuff. In this class, we're going to do what's called functional programming, which is exactly what you think it is. Come in, do, finish up, and you're good to go. There's other stuff such as objects and stuff like that. We're not going to cover that in this class. We'll probably cover that in another. Okay? Where can I run my fantastic Python program once I get done with it? And the answer is you can run it everywhere. Okay? You need a Python interpreter. You need a program that you submit your Python program to, it crunches on it, and then it gives you some output. Great, fantastic. Well, we're gonna, what systems do Python interpreters run on? Everything. Windows, Mac, Linux, you name it, there's a Python interpreter pretty much for every system that you're ever in the center. CPython is called the reference implementation. So it is the, God came down and said, here's Python, and he said it was CPython, basically. CPython is managed by a group called Python Software Foundation, and Guido is a part of that. In fact, I think he's the head of that. And so what they say goes. So if they decide to add something to the language, it is officially added to the language. If they take something away from it, if they make a version 4.0, then there is officially a version 4.0. Why do people like Python? Simpler, cleaner syntax. Real easy to read these programs. It's not hard to do whatsoever. Okay? You can try out short Pythons in an interactive environment, so you can try out stuff and just see if it works. You don't have to get all, I gotta write a program, and I gotta compile it, and I gotta do all that stuff. No, you don't have to do that at all. And Python's also very, very portable, so get it to run on one thing and you get it to run on pretty much anything else. Okay, so if you would like to get a copy of Python, there's actually two things you have to do. Very simple. There's a website that you have to go to, www.python.org. Okay? Real simple place to go. You go to python.org. You will see a beautiful looking blue screen like this. In the upper left hand corner, you're going to see where it says downloads. You will click on downloads. Okay, that's going to take you to a screen like this. It's going to say, great, would you like to download Python? Fantastic. And would you like to download Python 3.4.2 or 2.7.9? The correct answer is 3.4.2. That's the latest and greatest version of Python. That's the one we're going to be using in this class. Grab that, download a file to your computer, install it, and you're good to go. Make sense? Oh, there's good. So, once again, if you choose to use the school's computer, I've been told it's already installed there. Yeah, that is. If you've got a laptop or a computer at home, you just need to do this, and you will have Python on your computer. Yeah. Okay? Which is an important step to getting your homework straight. Okay. We should say hello to idle. Yeah, we should say hello to idle. So what is idle? Idle's a program. Idle's a program that comes with Python. And what idle does is it allows you to type in Python commands, and then it will process your Python commands. So idle is an interactive environment where you can try Python things out and see how they work out, or don't work out, depending on how things are going. You can load your program into idle, and you can run your program, and stuff will happen. So you will get to know idle very well by the time we're done with this particular semester. Okay? It stands for Integrated Development Environment. That's actually a little bit made up. It's a simple IDE, Interactive Development Environment, fancy term which just says the graphical user interface you use to interact with the language, which is all that really means. But we believe that it's called idle really because the guy who created Python was really a Monty Python nut, apparently. That's why he called it Python in the first place, and with idle because Eric Idle was one of the actors who was part of the original Monty Python group. But that's just what that is. So how does this Python interpreter idle actually work? It's actually pretty simple. You will type in your program. You can type it into idle, you can type it into a word processor, it doesn't really matter what you want to do, but you type in your program. It produces, obviously, a source file. You can save the source file on your hard drive, you can do all sorts of stuff like that. You can go to the interpreter, you can say, I have a source file. It says, fantastic. It runs it through a compiler. The compiler produces something called bytecodes. Remember, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, with assembly and machine and all sorts of stuff like that. So it takes your fantastic words and turns them into numbers. There you go. And then it submits that code to what's called a virtual machine, which is basically a Python machine. It says, if you give me this code, then I should do this. If you give me this code, then I should do this. And then it produces output. Now the reason it does this is because this virtual machine is same on every system, on a Windows system, on a Macintosh system, on a Unix system. That's exactly the same, right? So once they made one virtual machine, they can get Python to run everywhere. It's very, very easy to do. Notice it says library modules. Library modules. Remember when we were taking a look at that job description yesterday? You talked about some weird stuff, like what was it, NumPy, SciPy, and Pickle, all that sort of weird stuff. Those are library modules that you can bring into the virtual machine. They contain extra special Python code, special subroutines that you can call to do funky things like linear regression and stuff like that. Okay, but if you need them, you can call them. If you don't need them, don't worry about it. Our first Python program, Hello World. All right, so let's see if we can pull this off. This will be a dynamic thing. Hey, look, guys, it's Python. How cool is that? All right. So we're going to do our Hello World program here. Outside of some horrible spelling errors, that's it. Pretty much every computer language you ever see, there'll always be a Hello World program. Okay, that's pretty much what it is. All right, so let's take a look and see what we got going on here. So this very first line up here, I started with what? What's that first character? Hashtag, pound sign, you can call it whatever you want. Okay, what that indicated is that that line was a comment. And in the fantastic, wonderful world of computer programming, it means that all of a sudden the interpreter didn't care about anything else that was on that line. I could have put curse words, I could have put happy birthday to you, I could have put a fantastic formula. It doesn't care. The compiler is going to completely ignore everything else that is on that line because it's a comment. What it is, it's a line that I've included in my software that's basically a message to me. And you're like, well, why are you writing yourself messages? Because you were like just right there. Yeah, you're right. But if you do some computer programming now, develop some code, and then you come back to it in a year, are you going to remember why you did it, or how you did it, or all those subtle little things going on? The answer is absolutely no. And more importantly, if you develop some software and then I hand it to somebody else, are they going to understand what you did or why you did? The answer is absolutely no. Okay. So comments are critical. You will occasionally encounter software developers who don't comment their code. And they are horrible, rotten, terrible people that nobody likes to talk to. Because their code is very, very hard to maintain. So when you're writing software code, you want to work in as many comments as possible so people can understand what your code does and why it does it. Okay? In Python, there's a couple different ways to do it, but the simplest way to do it is to put a hashtag or a pound sign as the first character on the line, and then the rest of the line, you can put anything you want because it's your comment. All right, now let's talk about the second line here. So I did print, the word print, P-R-I-N-T. In Python, we get a little bit important here. Those were what, uppercase, lowercase? All lowercase. If I had done a capital P or if I made it all uppercase, this would not have worked out at all. That would have been very bad. All lowercase print, then what came after the print? Little parentheses, right? Is there another parentheses here? Gotcha, all right. So everything that I want to display on my screen goes between those two parentheses, okay? And then what did I do? I said, unfortunately, poor spelling here, I said hello world, but I put hello world in between what? Double quotes. By the way, I think I can also do single quotes. Let me double check.
Single quotes are the same string. It works in a little bit different.
Oh,
Single quotes work.
now, idle is your friend. Idle wants you to be successful. So you can see I've typed print. I've typed a number, I didn't have to do that. But what's this? So idle's showing me the format of the print command. So print, value, separator. I can put, these are different things. I can put n would be \n, which would cause it not to actually do a thing. Files system, format for files, flush if I want to do something like that. It's showing me the complete layout of how the print command actually works. I don't care, so I'm just going to keep typing. I don't really care about that, right? But I'm just going to keep typing along. But if there there to help me. Idle is your friend. Woo, look at that guy. It does math. So yeah. So I said what? Print 5. And guess what it did? Woo, 5. Then I did 5 plus 3. What did it print? Oh, okay. All right. So you start to get the gist of it, right? So anything you put in between the parentheses shows up on your screen. So print is how you get output. One of the ways you get output out of a Python program. Print is your friend. You will use a lot of print commands as you go forward. Right? So now you know some Python. How cool is that? You cannot type capital P print or all capitals, because that's something completely different. Python will take a look at it and go, I have no freaking clue what you're talking about. Okay, that certainly isn't the print command. Right. So in our example, we did my first Python. We did the pound sign at the beginning. It's a comment. It's for you, not the computer. Comments begin with a hashtag pound sign and are not statements. In our hello world, which displays a line of text, specifically spelled correctly, hello world, we call a function named print. Bam. Remember, I didn't code up print. I don't know where print is. I don't know where print came from. That's part of the Python language, right? So I'm going to take hello world. I'm going to pass it off to print. What's print going to do with it?
It's going to print it.
Put it on my screen. Right? Fantastic. What a great friend that is. We call it a function. Print is a function. It's named print. We pass it information. It's a collection of programming instructions that carry out a particular task. And print is part of the Python language. It is the first command in Python that we have learned in this particular class. What is the syntax for print? Okay, so this is the official syntax for it, right? Print, value 1, value 2, value 3. So we can put a whole bunch of values in there. I mean, I don't think that's any rocket science, but it's not anyway.
It's not going to work.
Did I make a mistake? That's odd, because I never make mistakes. So what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. Try it out.
Laptop fire?
Yes.
Will I be prohibited from using Python in the future because clearly I can't spell the damn word print correctly? Well, something bad's going to happen, right? Emotionally, do you feel like you're stable enough to see what's going to happen next? Should we get a therapist in here at any point in time? Because we can do this. This is okay. Let's give it a shot and see what it does. If Idle decides to yell at me. Oh my God! Well, that's the first time I've ever seen that. I'm sure that's the last time you've All right, trace back. Most recent call last. Okay, so look, I'm only doing one command here, okay? But if I had a whole program file, this starts becoming a little more interesting. File, shell, okay, which means I don't really have a file, because I'm just typing it in I don't. Now it just tells me what my line looked like. Name error. Name prompt is not defined. Okay, well, that hurts a little bit. All right.
They're always blue on the camera.
Ooh.
It's residence time for recording.
All right. That was the gist of what I was trying to do. So I put 3 numbers in the print statement, and what did I get? I had 3 numbers. It's a little more complicated than that, right? So pretty much, go back to what our formal. So we've got print all arguments. Now notice we can combine things, right? We can combine text, words, letters, and stuff like that, and numbers. Quote, the answer is, quote, now what's this? Comma. So we need to separate things, right? We just need to put something in between them. That's 6 plus 7, comma, exclamation mark. If we ran that, what would we expect to see? No rocket science here. How did I do my spelling? Do we think we're pretty good?
Good.
The answer is 13.
But automatically put space in it.
It does. Now, one thing I apologize because I meant to check before class. There must be a way to prevent the spacing from occurring. But yes, automatically it stick a space in between individual and individual. Generally, it's like a semicolon or something like that. Cool. All right, so print isn't any great rocket science. There's nothing terribly complex about this. But you can see you can get letters and words and stuff to come out through print. You can also get print to do math for you. Thank you very much. You can get it to display numbers. Cool. Print is your friend. how you communicate with the world. Your first Python assignment, note, it's an assignment, it's not homework. I don't want you to turn this stuff in. I want you to look at your stuff. So over the weekend, what I want you to do is write a Python program. Now remember, you only have one command to work with. What's the command? Print. Okay, so it can't be that damn hard of an assignment. I want you to make a happy face. You know what a happy face is, right? Somehow, using your keyboard, you're going to make a happy face. Oh, good luck with that. Okay, so what I want you to do, I want you to write a Python program that prints a happy face to your screen. You've got the print command, you can do that. Grab a copy of your screen. You guys know how to grab a copy of your screen, right? Print it out.
Push.
Bring it to the next class. Show it to me. So you know what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to come to this gentleman here and I'm going to say, hey, can I see your happy face? And then what are you going to do?
I'm gonna smile.
You're going to smile, but I don't care about that. What are you going to do? You're going to show it to me. And then I'm going to come here and what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, show me your happy face. And you can smile all you want, but that's not what I really want, right?
Oh, that's not what you want.
Yeah, that's one way to show it. But that's not really what you get at it, right? But that works. But yeah, but you got it, okay? So am I going to come to everybody in the class and ask you to show me your happy face?
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't have a happy face, how are you going to feel as the rest of the class stares at you?
Sad.
Are you going to be sad? Are you going to be embarrassed? Are you going to be really regretful?
No.
What the hell is that? I don't think we're covering that, are we? Damn it, I hate it when he walks back here and does that shit. Okay, well that's good, but I know we're not going to see that again, all right? Cool! All right, so you have your assignment for the weekend. Do you feel up to it? Do you feel that I've shared enough knowledge with you that you'll be able to successfully do this assignment? You understand it's not a homework. You're not getting any credit for it outside of social peer acceptance, yes?
What kind of smiley face do you want?
Now that's a challenge, isn't it? I haven't really told you, have I? So I guess it's up to you. You get to decide. I'm putting you in charge. You can think big, you can think small.
Yeah.
Okay? But here's the thing, you really can't do it wrong. The only thing you can do is not do it. How much time do you think this assignment's going to take you?
At least an hour.
And that's what we call software estimate, that's sandbagging. That's it. Well, arguably, you may have to install Python first. That just doubled your time. That's like 2 weeks. Alright, now remember, I don't want to give a damn about your happy face. I want you to install Python, write something, and be successful. Okay? That's the goal. Alright? So I know you'll do it by next week. What's in your Python toolbox? Okay. I'm going to add to the Python toolbox as we go along. Did you ever put F?
Yeah.
Shit. That's what happens when you know the language. Is that C? I think that's C. No, it could be that, but okay. Think of it as print. Okay, that's fine. It'll be print next time you see it. But anyway, you've got print in your toolbox. So right now you've got one tool in your toolbox. You don't have anything else, you got that one. Are we going to add to it? By the end of the semester, should you have a full toolbox?
Yeah.
Damn straight. You're going to have a big overflow of toolbox. For right now, you only have one tool, so to do your assignment, you only got one thing to work with. In a world of wrenches, everything looks like a nut. A bolt? Nut. All right, that's cool. Cool. What did we cover today? We learned who invented Python and why.
Because he was
bored. Because he didn't want to do his job. I don't even have to come in. That's what
He was like,
came to understand what Python is good at doing, which is really well documented code, and you don't have to write that many lines of code to do it. Hey, that's pretty cool. We talked about how you download and install a copy of the Python interpreter, so you'll have your own fresh version of it. We discovered the built-in idle IDE, and we used our first built-in function, which is
Print.
and not print out. What are we going to do next time? Variables and math.
I already have a math class.
Cool. We're done. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy very much, and I look forward to seeing your happy faces when we get back together.
Man, this homework's gonna be tough. H2, bro. It's hard, bro. All right. Speaking of which, I need to print that syllabus for my H2 class.
So I think you're home.
So for example, if I was to well, I mean, I was gonna figure out how to I feel like that. By the way, I can perform the opposite on the
And then I don't know what it uses.
Yeah, you gotta find the
Hold on, the numerical input is 1.
Yeah, but like you gotta find a way to get it on there. I wanna.
Character thing.
I did it, I had multiple lines in the same code section, but I don't remember.
I don't know what the computer uses.
I think you like dot and then like a little like line.
I don't know what the code uses, but it looks like Python uses ASCII UTF-8.
I don't know if that's what you already know.
Say yes.
Okay, it's an encoding system that does not include Python.
So what do I need to know with this? I don't know where you go with that.
Maybe you can't just use all the buttons.
Yeah.
So you know the C language itself doesn't have operators in it, right?
I'm trying to get used to my schedule.
Well, you'll find
I don't
out
have other files.
Okay, so we're just gonna have the syllabus,
Yeah, sign it.
that's it?
I believe so.
I think I'm gonna read
I'm
this.
about the right book, because I don't think I'm in books.
But hey, what book did you buy?
No, for a different class. You said anyone's fine for this one, so
I think, yeah, I'm
What it
going
is
to read
just
the articles,
code,
or at least
data.
I'm gonna read all the articles since I
And
gotta.
then you can create multiples of those.
I have to work, but.
Yeah, you work, which don't really do shit.
If you want.
Well, I only have to teach it for 1 hour.
Yeah.
That's all current. But until then, you know,
Yeah. I'm gonna print out the articles or check the articles, print the syllabus, sign that. I'm gonna read through the syllabus, make sure. Because there was a question about COP, about a 16-page syllabus, on page like 14 or 13, off on the side somewhere. It's email the professor your favorite color. Failure to do so puts you, successfully doing so gives you a 100 on a 6-page report about why you failed to read the syllabus. So if you have to do it within the first 2 days of class. So like if you don't do that,
do it.
no. But so basically he gives you extra credit. It's not like he actually makes you.
Still.
Yeah, I didn't read that. I was trying to find it. And I didn't see it. So like, I emailed him the day after. He's like, too late. You should have read the syllabus on time. This guy was like super stickler for like deadlines and stuff. Like he taught community, but he really didn't care about community. He cared about critical thinking.
You could build a course around that one. Yeah, but yeah, no, I have no problem with that. Tom would be your man to go with that, because he knows how to do it, right? As far as efficient paperwork and stuff.
It says to send the link to an administrator. Okay, they have.
I got you, yeah, no. Get him to help you out and you'll be good to go. Okay? Cool, man.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Enjoy your weekend, man.